Well, good morning. Good morning. My name is Lizette, and this morning I wanted to take a couple of minutes to just talk about something that's becoming more and more a burden on my heart. I have been an occupational therapist for 27 years, almost 28 years, and I had somebody reach out to me on this site, on this group the other day, asking some questions about driving and dementia. So this morning, I thought I would take a couple of minutes and just talk about it. This is a very, very sensitive subject to so many people, and I understand that. Driving is something that we don't want to lose our abilities in. It represents our freedom. It represents our ability to go out and visit with our friends. It lets us go grocery shopping, go to the doctor, all those kinds of things. But driving is not a right. It is a privilege. We have the privilege to drive. We do not have the right to drive. And just because we've been driving since the age of 10 or 12 or 14 on a farm or wherever, that does not mean that we are safe to drive anymore. So most people will voluntarily give up their driver's license. Most people will, when they start to have trouble, recognize it for themselves. But then there are people who are not going to stop driving unless we stop them from driving. So a couple of things that I want people to know and understand is that most physicians in most states do require that the physician actually report that the person's not safe to drive anymore. Most physicians are not going to do that. So it becomes our responsibility as family members and as healthcare professionals or other people who have the interest of the greater good and not just mom or dad's or aunt's or mine at heart to start to be more proactive about driving and driving with dementia. So just a couple things that I want people to realize is that as we go through dementia, as our abilities start to decrease, our whole world decreases. It goes from out there back in. And we get to a point with dementia, and you hate to correlate an adult with dementia with the chronological ages of children. However, there is a strong correlation, like an inverse correlation between people who have dementia and how they are progressing or regressing back through their ability to function. So if you think end stage of dementia is similar to an infant, well, mid and moderate stages of dementia start to become comparable to children between the ages of 10 and 16 years old. So we get to a point where there's really not an option. We need to be able to take action and help our parent or our loved one not drive. So what are some things that you need to be looking out for? So when people start to have trouble with things like managing their medication, when they have trouble paying their bills or balancing their checkbook, if they're having confusion about where to go or they're getting lost driving to familiar places, if they are having trouble with their vision, if they're having trouble with their hearing and they cannot hear whether there's a emergency vehicle coming, all of these are signs that we need to start paying attention to whether or not mom or dad or auntie should be driving. So I know it's hard. I understand it's difficult, but there are so many options out there. Nobody's going to voluntarily give up their right to drive or their privilege to drive because it's not a right. Nobody's going to voluntarily give up their privilege to drive unless there's a plan in place. So as a loved one who, somebody who has a loved one who is struggling with driving, I want you to think about it this way. The example that and this has actually happened. I know people don't always believe that these things happen, but I've had patients who were found 2 counties away from home, who had gotten in the car and just took off. And thankfully they ran out of gas and still had enough awareness to see that their car's gas tank was empty and stopped at a gas station. The gas station attendant actually saw that they were confused and called the cops. The cops figured out who they were and sent them to the local regional hospital. These things happen. So when I hear people say, well, mom and dad can drive to church, or mom and dad can drive to, the doctor's office because they've lived in this small town for their entire life, that may be true up to an extent. What if there's a roadblock? What if there's construction? What if there's an accident and all of a sudden they get turned around? Even though they're living in a familiar surrounding, they get turned around and they take off. And they live in a cold climate and they just go. And they get stuck on the side of the road. These are actual examples of things that actually happen to people. But going back to my previous statement, hi Eunice, hoe gaan het daar? Ek is bly om te sien iemand kyk. So anyway, to go back to why don't people give up their own licenses? Well, one, they're not thinking clearly anymore. And number two, they don't have the ability to make that decision anymore. Just as much as they don't have the ability to make higher level decisions about other things, they don't have the ability anymore to make the decision whether they're going to drive or not. So unless we get a plan in place for mom or dad, they're not going to stop driving. So here's some suggestions just off the top of my head. There's some rideshare apps that can help with this. There's a thing called GoGo Parent or GoGo Grandparent that you can help set. They're not going to be able to set this up. So we need to help them set these kinds of things up. There are volunteer driving services out there. Churches, a lot of churches will actually help take people to their appointments. They're not going to do it unless they know, unless you ask for help. A lot of, like here where I live in South Carolina, our area agencies for aging have the capacity for people over, I think it's the age of 62, to get lifts, to get somebody to pick them up and take them to appointments. So I want to strongly encourage us all as, hi Michelle, I see South Africa is highly represented today. That's kind of fun. So I want us to truly start to take action and not just wait for something to happen. The reason it's so dangerous is because in my opinion, it's one thing for mom or dad or grandma or grandpa to put themselves at risk. That's bad enough. They get in an accident, they run their car off the road, and they kill themselves. That's a tragedy. That's bad enough. But where I start to really struggle with this is they're not the only ones on the road. They have other people on the road, and they have lost, the person driving with dementia has lost the ability to anticipate the secondary consequences of what they're doing, and they drive in front of somebody else. And they don't know that they've done this, and they don't see how dangerous they are. They cannot make this decision. It's up to us. It's up to us to start to jump in and help our loved one and come up with a plan, because it's not the doctors, it's not the person with dementia who's going to do this. It is the people who are around the people who are living with dementia who end up having to make these decisions. But like I said at the beginning, nobody's going to do this on their own unless there's a plan in place for them. They still need to be able to get around. They still need to be able to have their independence. So I'm pleading with you, if mom or dad gets lost driving to familiar places, it's time to take their license away. Don't wait. It's not safe anymore. It's not safe for them. It's not safe for the people on the road with them. It's certainly not safe for the kids playing next to the side of the road if they can't respond fast enough and then drive and kill a child. And these things happen. I've checked with some insurance companies. The insurance companies won't give me an answer regarding whether or not this is something that they cover or not cover. It's a case-by-case basis. Are you going to wait? Are you going to wonder? Are you going to see mom kill somebody before you help her? So I plead with you, please, and I know this is a sensitive topic, and I know I'm probably not going to be very popular for bringing this up today, but I plead with you, start to help your loved ones with driving when they have dementia. And it's much sooner, much, much sooner than you think we have to start to have this conversation with them. And don't believe that they're going to understand and be willing. It is going to be a struggle. It is going to be something that you have to work through with them. But just ignoring it is not going to make it go away. And it will get worse. And so I hope this was helpful. Please reach out. Please put in the comments if you have questions. Please, ask me questions regarding this. There's a great book. It was written by a lady by the name, she's actually also an occupational therapist. It's called Driving with Dementia. I'd recommend you get this. It's like $10. You can buy it on Amazon. Her name is Debbie Ricker. She's an occupational therapist, but she also specializes in driving and driving with dementia. So go ahead. Here's a plug for Miss Debbie Ricker. I can't say her name. Get the book, read the book, start to help your loved ones with driving. And thank you so much for watching this morning. I see Cynthia was on. I see a Barb in Antonio, Texas was on, and a couple of other people. So I hope you have a good day. And like I said, put comments, questions in the bottom here, and I'd be happy to reach out and speak with you guys. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.